Hello and welcome everybody. I'm James Leichter with Aptora, and this is another Total Office Manager Next Generation reveal. You can consider these reveals maybe as a progress report on our work on Total Office Manager Next Generation. So today we wanted to just show you that we've been actually working on this thing and making progress with it. And we thought we'd show you some of our highlights, some of the things that we've done since our last reveal. And we will open this up to Q&A after a while. You're invited to raise your electronic hand. You'll see an icon for that. And you can go live with us and ask your question. You can also type your question in and we'll try to get to those questions. No, we're in no hurry, so we'll try to answer all the questions you have. Before I forget, let me mention, if you go to aptora.com and click the Help menu, you will notice a link to our software roadmap. In that roadmap, we have all of the frequently asked questions answered. We also have a software revision list. Those are the things that you can expect Total Office Manager Next Generation to have. And also the roadmap part is what we will do in the future. After we do our initial release, what will the things we plan to add, they're all listed as well. So with that, I think, I have one more thing to say. To a good friend of mine out there who's battling cancer, you know who you are, we love you, hang in there. And I got my pin on just for you, buddy. All right, with that, I think we'll go ahead and start showing off some of our software stuff.
Yeah, sounds great.
What do you have for us?
So as you saw last time, we have kind of redesigned the UI, but we've now done it again. So we are playing around with the UI a little bit. We're kind of picking and choosing what style we want it to go with. As you can see, you see a familiar screen right when you log in. You see the Workflow Navigator, just like you see in current Total Office Manager with the same links. So if you wanted to navigate through this way, you can go to any of the options there, just like in your current system. We also have added the ability to search the whole application for certain things, just to help with new employees, new hires getting on. It's hard to kind of paint the whole picture of what Total Office Manager can do. So we've added it's really simple. It's just a little search. If I want to go see invoices, I can just type invoice, and there's everything that pertains to an invoice. Search the invoice list, there it is. So kind of just opens it up to allow you to not have to know every menu option. Because as you see, we've changed the menu, and they are a little better, easier to navigate, but there's still a lot of things you can click on. And so if you're working on invoices, it's just easier to search. I could show you around a little bit, see what we got going. We've started working on credit card processing. We've started working on wrapping up payroll. And we have some new functionality that we've added as well. So let's jump into the payroll side really quick.
I'm going to ask my engineer, Ella, can you allow me to see what they are seeing on my screen, please? I don't want to miss all the fun. Thank you.
So as you see, I navigated from Total Office Manager. I went to our payroll center, which opened up another URL, and you have the payroll center. Here is where we've kind of redesigned how a little bit of the UI looks. The functionality is exactly the same, and the buttons and those are all the same. So, for instance, the process paychecks. You see the familiar, form, the familiar words here and all that, but we just made it a little easier to go left to right. This is what you do. You select your employees, pick date range, and search, and it's going to populate your checks.
Looks to me like the help topic in the current Total Office Manager is about 95% correct.
Yeah, that's true.
Form.
That's
is
correct.
That right?
Yeah, the only thing you're probably going to see is the image is different. For the most part, everything else is the same. So if you do a search with all employees for the date range of 4 years, there's the paychecks that are in this database. So this is where you'll go to process the check after you, then you have the, we changed the time off a little bit. Currently in Total Office Manager, you go day by day. where you made it to where you can select an employee here, and then you'll load in and you can fill out a whole week worth of timesheets. That way somebody in the office doesn't have to fill out a day, click next, fill out another day. You can just continuously add timesheet entries for the day or for the whole week.
That was one of the big feature requests that we had in our current Total Office Manager, wasn't it?
Correct, yep. Yeah, it's all about trying to, get those things done that we've said, yeah, that's a really good idea, but we just haven't had the technology doesn't allow for it in the current system. Mm-hmm. All the setup screens for payroll are done. So you have like payroll items. We made it collapsible, so that way you're not seeing a huge list of all the stuff and you have to scroll. So if I wanted to go see my deductions, I can open them up. There's the deduction form, just straight out of current Total Office Manager, all the same. The only difference is we don't have a page you go to. It just opens up right here on the page. Makes it a little quicker to move around. Let's see, we got our paycheck list. One thing weird that I'm surprised we didn't have in current Total Office Manager, and I mentioned to James before, is we never had a timesheet list. So if I look here, let's see if I can find it. Timesheet. It's in here. Yeah, I'll find it, but the idea is, we have a list now where you can see an entire list of your timesheets for all employees. Let's see if I can.
Yeah, we have a list for everything else. We didn't have a list for timesheet entries.
Right, and because I don't know where it is on the menu off the top of my head, I'm just going to use search, click timesheet list. There you go. So now we have a timesheet list. You might not need it, but it's just something that, we've had a list for everything, like you said. So.
Right. So tell me about that search. What is that doing?
This up here?
Yeah, you couldn't find it. Use the search. Yep. What is it searching?
It's searching every menu. Basically, nice. So that option is in here somewhere. If I really dug for it, I could find it. But it's just quicker, like I said, just to type in timesheet list. And
it's almost as if you pretended like you didn't know where it was.
I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, that's the story we'll tell.
Yeah.
You knew where it was. You just pretended like you couldn't find it.
But you can see your pay groups. You have all that stuff that we've been, that involves payroll. One thing we've done for testing payroll is we've built a payroll calculator, which just allows us to quickly go in and say, okay, this employee lives at this zip code, has that earnings. Just helps QA test our processing of the payroll. So, and we'll keep it in there. We built it really for us, but we're going to keep it in there for everybody.
Tell us more about the zip code. Why does that matter now when I don't see that matter? That doesn't make any difference in Total Office Manager currently.
Right.
So what's the zip code for?
So as we all know, like tax jurisdictions with per customer, like we have customer tax tracking currently in Total Office Manager. Well, the new payroll setup is going to be just straight off zip code. So you don't have to worry about going into the customer and adding in those taxes because it's just going to pull what the zip code's from.
Nice.
So it should grab all the local jurisdiction taxes just based on the zip code. And it's automatically updated. You don't have to worry about, Aptora updating the tax controls for you. That's all done just automatically.
And that's been a common feature request. We've had a lot of people ask for that. Mm-hmm. I think we've mentioned in the past that we're trying to deliver what we have, but also get to some of those feature requests that were not very practical, if not impossible.
Right. And because we've been changing the UI so much, I thought I'd show off. We just did the schedule board again, so I'll show it off a little bit. It looks just the same. We just added it, made things just a little crisper, I guess. Same profiles got merged over. There's my work orders. If I had images, they would show up there. So none of that, your dispatcher's workflow really changed. Mm-hmm. It does allow you to log into just the schedule board instead of having to go into Tom and find your way around. So if somebody wanted to, they could just work off the schedule board permanently.
Nice.
We kind of got a new guy. He's from support, and we kind of engulfed him into the dev world. He's been helping with reports. If you talk to Tanner, that's who that is. He wanted me to show off a few of the reports he was pretty happy about. So again, in Total Office Manager, I navigated to our report center. Now this is a separate service, still a part of Total Office Manager, but it gives you the capability of, a high-level manager, owner. They don't have to go into Tom and see all that. They could just go to the report center and run the reports. So if I go here, we got the executive summary. It's one of my favorite reports.
Oh, yeah.
So if you look, it's showing everything that we would see in the current Total Office Manager. It just loads a little quicker and it looks a little cleaner. Another one that I thought would be interesting to show off was the invoice analysis. This actually isn't a report option in reports so much as it is on just the invoices in Tom, but we decided to put it in the reports. And I'm just going to do all. And so there's the invoice analysis for every invoice in the database. And it's loading, so there's probably going to be a few hundred pages. It's got 110 loaded so far. So that's a really nice design to kind of see the gross profits here, and you hover and it shows you a dollar amount. We've talked now about changing it to percentage, or both.
So tell me what's going on here. This is obviously different than Total Office Manager. Currently, when you loaded the report, it seems like it was done, but then I just saw more and more pages loading. What is that?
Yeah, so it's called lazy loading, really. So there's no really sense in waiting for everything to load and then to dump it in here. So what you do, I'll click refresh again, and you can kind of see right there. Now it's done. But because it's web-based, the beauty of it is a lot of caching happens, and so that's why that second 110 loaded a lot faster than the first time I ran it. But yeah, basically it's just loading every page just individually, and you have infinite scrolling, so you never have to go to another page. You can navigate with pages, but you could just scroll.
So you're not waiting for everything to finish before you can start interacting with the software.
Correct. Yep. Yeah, that's the beauty of lazy. A lot of lazy loading happens in this platform, which is great. It just lets you get to your task faster. Let's see what else we got. We got the inventory. All of our inventory reports are done. So inventory history, inventory valuation. Let's see if I do. Let's pick an item. Oh, let's do that one. And loaded the inventory valuation for that one, just as current Tom does. You see your cost, you see the value of it, and again, it scrolls until it's done. The reports are really nice. They're basically the same kind of templates that you make in current Total Office Manager, just a newer version, which makes, custom reports, that kind of stuff makes that a little easier to do.
Do we have the same reports as we do in the current Total Office Manager?
Yes. Yep. All the same. I don't think we've added any, but we've improved just the query itself, just for speed purposes. But yeah, all the reports are here that are in the current system.
Very nice. Our goal in building these reports has been to build exactly what we have. Don't take the opportunity to reinvent the report. That way, whatever report you're used to, you'll see the same thing in this program.
So your AP aging, I've showed this one in the past demos, but again, you have links that we will put in here that will navigate you to certain areas of the application depending on the link. So this will take you to the vendor in Tom. If you have permission to open a vendor, it will read that and then it will open it for you.
And that's new. We don't do that currently. We have drill down, but not to this extent.
Correct. Yeah, that little functionality is new. Yep. And it goes a long way. I feel like it'll make navigation a lot easier. And you see we opened it in a new tab, so you don't have to, rerun the report. If you're opening a bunch of stuff, you can just open another one, and now you can just start looking at your info and keep your report open.
Very nice.
Let's see. We have the one thing I wanted to show also was, I'll get to it in a second, is memorize transactions. We've added a lot of capability to it. We kept the current functionality, but we've added some stuff to it. But until then, I wanted to show you what everybody that uses Aptora Teams probably wants it in Tom, right? I think that's a pretty common feature. So one thing we've done is we've added a chat functionality inside of Tom. It'll allow you to chat with your employees inside of the application. So I have somebody on the dev team waiting for me to message them. See if he gets it. The cool thing about it too is I've had them add, there he is. I've had them add the ability to pop this out, so then you can close it.
Oh,
Minimize.
that's great.
And if he wants to, if he's listening and send me another one, he might be able to see a message pop in there.
Come on, Parker.
There he is. So Parker sent me a message. I can open it. There he is. Oops. And you can just keep going. So the idea is kind of like that Facebook feel. You know, you have your window messages just pop up. Where I see this really going is not only inter-office communication, but also customer communication. So we'll be adding the ability to text from these little chat windows. So instead of Parker Williams, which I know is an employee, you would see, you know, Bill's Heating, or, you know, an address of a customer of yours or something like that. So you'd be able to text that.
So what would happen if a customer saw a phone number on our website that said call or text, and they sent a text to that phone number? Are you saying that it would show up in here as a chat message?
Yeah. Yep, exactly. Whether it be this, or we have talked about adding a little drawer that slides over and you have all your text there, kind of separate the two, but it will still have this same feel. It'll be a little message box like that.
And if it recognizes the customer, I take it you'll notice that, right?
Oh, yeah.
It'll tell you this is a customer. And
yep, this is who it is, their address, and then you can probably right-click, go to the history of them, that kind of stuff. Kind of like our current caller ID system would have worked.
Okay.
Yep. And then you could always message back, which would send a text instead of a message.
That's something everyone will like.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a no-brainer.
And it'll just stay floating. You know, I can navigate around and it's still there. So you never lose your ability to communicate.
Very good.
You never have to go backwards. A few little designs on the invoice that we've changed. Instead of having all of it on the header, all the information possible, we've kind of made these things collapsible. Still not 100% on the design. I like this one so far that we've chosen. We've stuck the total here, and we've added a view summary button. So that'll allow you to see, you know, the real details of what's going on, your taxes, your discounts, subtotals, things like that. But for, you know, your average everyday person, just seeing a total that is right is really all you need. You don't need to see this necessarely.
Right. That's nice. I like that.
I've mentioned it before, but I'll show again since I know James likes it. We've added the ability to move items. So if I move that to 1, it changes the number to 1, the second one to 2. So if you have a bunch, you can then, the idea is you just move one all the way to the top, especially if you're messing with subtotals and discounts. It allows you to, you know, really fine tune your invoice.
That is something we could not do in the current system. That's an example of a very common feature request that we just couldn't make happen. As hard as we worked to try to allow you to rearrange items, we just couldn't get it done, but it was easy to do in the new platform. It's nice to be able to cross that off the list.
Yeah, I happened to see a chat, so I'll show you. Yes, to answer that. Group items are the same. So if I add a group item, I can then move each individual group item. I wouldn't be able to move it out of the group, but I'd be able to move it inside the group.
Right, nice.
Yep.
Love it.
Let's see, we got did I show the schedule board? Yeah. And payroll. So yeah, one other thing is memorize transactions. So we've built this dashboard. It kind of is a catch-all. It's a way to keep our system alive. So it's a way to come in here and see if things are running okay. You know, if there's how many people are connected to the system. Total connections are just to this piece. Anything that's failed, any jobs that I've ran that have failed. So as far as a job goes, I mean, what that really looks like, let me show you. I'm going to go and create a bill. And I'll just pick that guy. As you see, same pop-ups.
Same words.
Yep. So I could hit OK. There's my purchase orders. I could add them to the bill. Let's pick some terms. Add an item. And let's do there we go. And I will, under the more option, we're going to hit memorize. What it does is you want to save this memorize transaction, give it a name. So we no longer are going to save this bill. A few months back, we had a really big issue with memorize transactions. It's really what sparked this. So if I had a memorize transaction for like 2 years and all of a sudden sales tax changed, I'd have to go all the way back to the original, right?
Right.
This allows you to create a template of that transaction, not saving the original as a memorized transaction, but saving the template as one. So I'll hit save and remind, and same reminder screen comes up. How do you want it to do? I want it to remind me daily. What day type? Business day or calendar day? I think that field is new. We'll give it a description. And I'll pick my user and create reminders. Oh, needed end date. Okay, so I have a reminder getting ready to be created. I'll hit save and close. Successfully created. Save and close. Now what that did behind the scenes is it created a reminder to start happening. So if I go to jobs, let me go refresh. No, now it's not going to work. Watch this. Eventually it will come in here.
Well, it's got to work. You're live.
I know, right? But the idea is it queues it up for you. So you can see it in here as a queued job. Let me log out and log back in. I have it saved.
So what we're trying to do is show you the rework on the memorized transactions. It is going to offer the same capability that you're used to now, but it allows us to run those jobs in the background so they're not taking up resources, they're not slowing down your system. They can also be scheduled to run, and the infrastructure that we built out is going to allow us to do a lot more with the memorized transactions, such as memorizing almost anything you're doing, running reports, all kinds of different jobs can be memorized. Now, when we first released the software, our goal is to have what we have now, but we've laid the foundation for building out a much more powerful memorized transaction type of feature set.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to want to work, but the idea is, back to saving a template, is you have a recall option, which will allow you to select the transaction, which is why I was so specific about naming it. It lets you select the transaction that you once memorized. So if you're creating a new bill, a new memorize, or a new repeating, recurring bill, basically, it allows you to pick from a template instead of having to go to the original and change the customer. Now you can just pick from a template, hit apply, and it will load that info in there for you. The Ace hardware, no items. I could do it again and find one with items. No items. But yeah, it allows you to recall those templates. So the benefit is we're going to have the ability to template a lot of things where you can just recall them. Aptora uses, default customers for things like that. Whether it's, estimates that we've built out to send out to people that we don't want to have to recreate again, that could just become a template that you just always remember and recall it.
So would that allow users to create invoices and estimates and sales leads and things like that, and just recall those, use those as a starting point?
Yep. Yeah, if you have one, it's a invoice with or an estimate with 300 items on it, and you don't want to have to punch all that in again, you just save it as a memorized template, and then you can always bring it back, change whatever you need to, and save. And
when you bring it back, it has all the latest information on it, right? Prices, things like that.
Right. Yep.
All right.
I kind of brazed past the credit card stuff. We've now added the tokenization, as far as instead of having our way of doing it currently, we now have tokens being sent back and forth, so it allows you to create customer profiles. If I go to a customer record, for instance, some of our Canadian companies may already know what this looks like because they currently use something similar. If I go to payment info, manage profiles, it allows me to pick my gateway. You could have multiple. And then it allows me to send a payment profile through the API to whichever gateway you have. That way they have the information. The software doesn't. More secure that way. You're not saving any information inside of your system.
So there's no credit card numbers in the system.
Correct. Yep, just a giant long string of data that the other end knows what that is, and then that's the credit card number.
So if somebody had that long string of data, they wouldn't be able to do anything with it?
No. Oh. Not without, a special key that tells them what it is.
I see.
Yeah, it's just raw data. And because we're adding texting everywhere, we've now added, instead of having the cell phone number field as your texting option, we just have a text number option up here. That way every customer should have a phone number you can text. That's kind of what most people are wanting nowadays anyway. I don't like answering the phone. So texting is going to be heavy everywhere. As far as the chat, right-click, send text, those kind of things are going to be a big part of the software.
Nice. The contacts tab on customers, vendors, one change I really like that we made, it's a minor thing, but it's just so helpful, is sharing information across different records. You mind explaining that?
Yeah, so when I told the developers about adding, contacts for every customer, they kind of just did it this way, and I think I kind of liked it, so we kept it.
They made a mistake?
Yeah, basically.
We kept it?
Yeah, basically what it does is add a contact. Well, a vendor, you could have 2 vendors with the same contact maybe, or right. 2 customers with the same, especially if it's a HOA or something. Right. So you could just, instead of typing all the info in, you just pick that person and adds them to this record. That way it's just saving time.
Right.
It's all about data entry, how less you have to do. But yeah, I do like that.
Yeah.
Just a list of all contacts.
I do too.
And I actually misspoke. I don't think we share vendor to customer. It's customers to customers, vendors to vendor.
Right. That's what people have wanted, especially when you're creating jobs.
Right.
Hierarchy with your customers, you're going to share those contacts.
Yep.
And you don't want to change them in two places. That's the big benefit.
Right. As you see, right-click menu is the same. Because we're changing the design or playing around with the styling, that right-click menu isn't everywhere. So if you've seen me right-click and it pop up the actual browser window, that's why. But that's the idea is we've hijacked the menu. So we now own the menu if you're inside of this the Total Office Manager app.
Now that's actually a big deal, because when you go to Amazon.com and you right-click anywhere, you're going to get the browser menu. There is no proprietary menu so far. Maybe they'll change it in a week, but as good as Amazon is, as big as they are, when you right-click in their app, you don't have a proprietary menu. That's something that we worked very hard to add to Total Office Manager Next Generation, because everybody loves our right-click menus, all the shortcuts. Create this from that. I promise you, we have been adding all of those back into the new system. So if you love those, don't worry. They're going to be in there.
Yeah. And as there's not a lot that we've done with filtering. We had Robin kind of reviewing we had Aptora on it the other day, and we had Robin take a look at it. And the first thing she said was, "We're smart lists." So Mark took it upon himself to kind of type out a new way of, we're going to tag transactions, I think is what we're going with, but it'll allow you to tag these kind of save them over here so you can mess with them later.
Nice.
But with filtering, just like anything else, Excel especially, you can remove your columns. You can filter per column, which is, I think, a huge benefit. And then we'll have the ability to save those filters as, your users' filters.
Nice. It's great to have the Excel type filters in there.
And we have been expanding. The UI isn't quite, we haven't changed it basically since the last demo, but we do have a little mini audit trail. I'll show them if you want to. I don't know if we've talked about that or not, but
I don't think so.
Let's get this thing rolling and I'll show you. What we've kind of done is make it to where each transaction or each record will have its own little mini audit trail, we'll call it. So if I click this here, nothing there. Let me go to another one. Yeah, so don't mind the UI. But yeah, it'll tell you, this Ashley Adams was in here. We haven't added the details, but she was in here changing stuff. So the idea is, as somebody says, hey, this marketing changed, who did it? Well, you'd be able to see Ashley Adams edited the record.
Great.
That way you're not going to the audit trail searching, trying to find those records. It's just kind of, the transaction, you go to it, there's your audit trail.
So eventually that will show the field that was changed, the old value and the new value, correct?
Yep. Yeah, as much as we can get in there. Yep.
That will be well received.
Yeah, I think so too.
Will we still have the main audit trail?
Yep, that's still under here. I'm not going to go searching for it, but if I watch it be one of the things that's not in our menu. Oh man, all right, let me go find it. Yes, the audit trail is here.
All right.
There it is.
Okay.
So I added something, demo with James. Yep, we're tracking all that.
Good.
You can see we've been busy today. Yeah, so I think that's a good kind of rundown of what we've been doing. I think the biggest hurdle we've done is payroll, but I think it's going to be a pretty smooth transition from what we have to this.
That's great. Payroll is so nice to have payroll pretty much wrapped up.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, it's weight lifted.
Yeah.
One thing we've also been doing is we've met with a few different companies for integration for ACH and stuff. Haven't picked one yet, but we're kind of working on, ACH transactions where you can pay vendors, basically do anything ACH.
Right.
And that's going to be huge.
One exciting thing about payroll is our ability to put payroll right on a debit card. So you'll be able to have a debit card for your employees and with a click of a button or two, put that money on their debit card.
Right. Yeah, they call it like payday cards or something. You've probably seen it at McDonald's. Work today, get paid today.
Yeah, that's how they do it, right?
Yep.
They give them debit cards.
Yep.
And they electronically put that money on that debit card and people can get paid daily, weekly.
Yep.
It's up to you on frequency, but you would be able to put it on that debit card if that's what you wanted to do.
Yeah, and a lot of those ACH companies, they offer things like that, which is kind of why we're shifting that way. And all the benefits of companies like that, or the FDIC stuff, and all the security reasons really are helpful.
And I think one change, of course, is that you no longer have to upload the file. You connect automatically, right? And
right.
It takes care of that.
One thing I'll show you, because it failed, so I will have better, details for you guys, but we can at least see that something failed, and I can, we get that to somebody to fix. But it would be more of this is what happened, fix the data for you, a user.
Right.
Like, if this field was missing or something like that.
So, yeah, stay right there for a minute, because I think this is a good opportunity to talk about what we say around here, the yellow screen error.
Right.
That's because when you get an error, a form comes up and a lot of the background is yellow, so we just call it the yellow screen error. And as you know, that means that you have to close the application and restart the application. That should not happen anymore. An error should be more like this. It doesn't cause you to stop what you're doing. It logs all the information that we would possibly need. We're not asking for input anymore. We don't have to say, what were you doing? Because we know what you were doing. We have all the information that we need to make that fix. And if it's a important fix, then we can release that fix almost instantly.
Correct.
And even release it for just one company. Is that correct?
Yeah, so we've kind of ingested the pipeline, continuous development. So yeah, if there's a bug, show-stopping bug or some payroll doesn't work, invoices are messed up, we can jump on there and push an update to, your company or everybody.
Could be that only one company is having that problem and we don't want to risk interrupting anyone else. So we can just pinpoint one company, two companies, update them.
Yeah.
It happens just
instantly. Yeah, it isn't, you'll see a little bit of a delay, but you'll still be able to see everything in Tom. There's no install the update, download it. So it's just a pretty seamless process.
I have heard you talk about opening this module, but I don't know that we've explained that. Not today, certainly, but maybe not in other reveals. What are we doing differently when you go to this app and open up this other module, I'll call it? What have we done differently here?
We've, the nerd, I guess, word is we've taken a monolithic application and we've broken it into pieces. So Tom's very large, and so it has multiple core functions. We've taken those 4 functions and broken them out. So each individual service runs independently. Payroll can be ran without Tom running. So it allows you, it also, if I was not logged in, I would have a login screen for the payroll service.
I see. So you could log into just payroll and you're not accessing anything else.
Correct, yep.
And you don't have the overhead of anything else
Yep.
or the distraction.
Yeah, that's really the key, is the distraction. It's all about we had a guy working here a while back who loved the word cognitive load. It was as little as I have to process in my brain at once. And that's kind of why, payroll, you don't want to be confused with a bunch of menus. You just need payroll menus.
Right.
And the way to do that is to break it apart from the big Tom and make it its own payroll service.
So you're in the payroll system right now. And of course, we can see the change in menus. There's a lot less to look at there.
Right. And we kept the dashboard because there's never know when you're going to want to navigate away. So you can navigate to Tom. You can navigate to all the others. Sales ops, schedule board. And now I have Tom open twice, and you don't even really know it.
So payroll, scheduling, the sales opportunity manager, those are all.
Yep, the job
apps.
service, our messaging service, so the chat back and forth, that's its own app. So if there's a bug in chat and it's down, like a crazy bug, not going to affect Tom day to day.
Not that we've seen this happen, but that means if one of these systems failed, it doesn't take anything else down with it.
Correct.
Right?
Yep. Yeah. Payroll. If I can't run payroll today, I can still invoice today.
I see.
Whereas if current Tom is throwing a bunch of errors, you might not be able to do much of any of it.
Right.
That's kind of the beauty of breaking it apart, really. Just for simplicity, helps bug fixes. That's really another key. Helps development time. You don't have to worry about, what does that touch?
That's great.
Yeah.
I like that.
So yeah, that's kind of been the last, I think we met in September or October, so that's been the last few months. We've really done a lot of work. Oh, one other thing, because it's here, I'll show you. The ability to add images and stuff is exactly the same. We've just made it a little cleaner. So my employee picture, I can pick an image. There we go, image saved.
That person works here.
So yeah,
that's one of the developers.
that's the image process. That's what we'll end up having for all of every image. There might not be necessarily document links. They'll just have images.
We have completely redesigned the way we handle files and images and things like that. Do you want to touch on that a little bit?
Yeah, we one thing is we have a separate database for it. So we have a database that'll store your images and your links and your files. It allows you to store every type of file. And you can even store the whole PDF. It doesn't store the link to the PDF. So you'll have all of that stored.
So all of those things are actually in a database now.
Right.
Not a link, which can be broken if someone moves the file or you can't get to it, you can't get to that folder.
Exactly.
So this may not matter to many of you. You may not know what we're talking about, but some of you will be thrilled. We put files in folders now and we save links. And that can be a problem if you can't get to that folder. That folder is on the internet, or you don't have access to that folder for whatever reason, or security's preventing you from getting there. It can be frustrating. Also, people can move files and do it purposely. You might rename something or replace a hard drive. Well, we take care of all that now. All of those resources are stored in a separate database, and now you have access to those anytime you need to.
Yeah, and it also makes it, when we have our mobile application side of it, it'll allow you to not have to talk to the same database to get stuff for your guys out, people on the field. So just they'll limit the number of people talking to the database. If you have more of the databases, the better.
What about emailing? You don't have to necessarily show us anything if you don't have an example, but how have we improved the ability for users to email?
I would say, the idea, you can 64-bit email, so Office 365, no-brainer, Google Business or personal. I think, the issue I think a lot of people run into with current Tom is that you have to have that 32-bit install because it's a 32-bit app. So this will just allow you to any email provider.
And we will also in the future have the ability, because of the modern system we built, to allow you to batch email and do a lot more things than you currently can do. And they can be other processes, right? So they'll run in their own world, and you won't be waiting on them. And if they are really intense, it won't matter.
Yeah, that's kind of
doing your job.
Kind of the idea of the job service too, is you can schedule out emails to go out, schedule out reports to run at certain times. That's going to be what's going to take this thing, I think, for a long ways. Is you're going to be able to see, there's going to be 10 reports that run at midnight and send to so and so. So
this screen right here, this is what the boss could see, right? Someone that owns our software, the boss can go in here, see what jobs are scheduled, see what things are running right now.
Yep.
The thing I really like about this is, how often have you been working in Total Office Manager, other software too, but you're in Total Office Manager and you ask yourself, what is it doing?
Right.
What is it thinking about? And it's not just us.
Right.
I ask that on other programs too, but this tells you what it's thinking about.
Yep. Yeah, it'll kind of show you, spikes on if something failed, what time it failed. You'll see that graph here. 25 of them succeeded, 1144, which is when I was testing it all. Now it didn't work. But yeah, So it's really just a pretty good dashboard to see what's alive, what systems are online, what's not. If payroll was, not working, you would see, hiccups in it here.
Nice. I like that.
Yeah.
You can never have too much info.
Yep. Agreed.
But it's not in your way.
We've also taken it, we have preferences for mobile and Tom currently. We've now added it. We're going to start adding all preferences are going to be in one place. So like the texting preferences and your GPS preferences are now going to be in Tom instead of having to go somewhere else to add that stuff in.
Wonderful.
So it's just small little things that I think, there's no sense in having to go somewhere else.
Right. Yeah, that's terrific. We've had a lot of requests for the ability to have preferences all in one place and copy preferences and things like that.
Right.
This allows us to address that.
Yeah. But as you can see, as I'm navigating around, I feel like the database is small, but I've done it on a ton of databases, and it's just as fast. The idea is, we've tried to really focus in on what people call in them the most about, I think. Speed is being number one.
And I think, go full screen here, I think what people are noticing, and we really want you to notice, is that if you know how to use Total Office Manager today, you will know how to use Total Office Manager of tomorrow. It's the same thing. It just allowed us to do things that we couldn't do before.
Right.
And they're not changes, they're additions that don't interfere with you. If you don't know about them, they won't cause you any trouble.
Exactly, yep. I mean, and you can see like we've again, feedback's great because I like the breadcrumbs, some don't, so we have it some places and others we don't. It's part of the styling testing we're doing. But yeah, I mean, this item receipt looks like if I opened it in Current Tom. It
Same
just
thing.
looks a little, styled.
And we saw earlier the form pop up that says you have item or
Open
you have
POs.
open POs,
Right.
And it looked a little different. It was styled different, but it was the same workflow.
Yep. As soon as I picked the vendor, it basically popped in that message saying, hey, that guy's got open POs.
Another thing about message boxes that we're doing differently is, unlike Total Office Manager, when you can get one, and there it is. There's the form that pops up. So if you know how to use the existing item receipt and you've seen that form pop up, you
know.
won't have to call support.
Yeah, there'll be no question. You know
You'll
exactly
know
what
to
it
do.
is. Yep.
Yeah. What I was going to say about message boxes is, when you save in Total Office Manager, we show you one message box at a time. And that's just how things were done with that technology. You really had no choice as a developer. But now what we do is show you multiple messages. So that way you're actually missing information from 5 fields, not just one at a time.
Right, yeah, just like that. So I just open a bill, it's empty, save and close. Those are what it's going to need. We'll change the verbiage. Needs a vendor, not a vendor ID. But the idea is, instead of having, oh, you need a due date. Okay, I'll put that in. Save. Oh, you need a vendor. Okay, save. Right.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, the vendor ID, that was written by an engineer.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
They're thinking, oh, you need an ID.
Yeah.
But a normal human goes through these eventually and
Right,
rewords them. Yeah, I like that. And they're not modal. That's the term for a form that pops up and nothing else can happen. We don't do that much anymore at all, especially with just a plain old message box.
Yeah, no, unless it's necessary, we don't have modals. Yeah. I think we're making really good progress. I'm excited. We're almost there.
A few questions that we get on a regular basis, I thought I'd address them now. Non-software really is, not non-technical really is. Well, how much is it going to cost to upgrade? Well, we consider this to be an update, believe it or not. Just consider it to be an update to our software. It's a big update. But if you have a service agreement and you normally get updates, then you're getting this upgrade just like you would any update. Just don't let your service agreement expire, because if they expire, then we have the opportunity to charge a lot more if you come back. So keep that service agreement intact. I'm also asked a lot about data migration. What's the story on data migration? How hard is it going to be to migrate your data?
Not. We have a developer who's built a tool that basically will take a old Tom database and move it to a new Tom database.
What's the user have to do? How many hundreds of clicks?
None.
None? Not 2?
Maybe a couple clicks, but we'll probably do it for you.
Uh-huh.
The idea is, at the end of it, we'll have a report that will show you this is what we couldn't do, which probably is nothing minus any orphaned records.
Okay.
But other than that, we'll have just a list of things that were successfully moved.
So what happens when you update your software, or you think about it, you'll probably remember this. Sometimes it says there's going to be a database update. Well, we're already updating their database now when we update the software. We're doing the same thing. It just happens to be a big update because we've made a lot of engineering improvements to the database. I mean, significant.
Oh, yeah.
But we test that as we go, and it will just happen automatically. And as Bryant said, if there are any issues like orphaned records, I'll explain that in a minute, it'll tell you what happened. Now, sometimes orphaned records, and you correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm just an average guy with an average brain, but sometimes when you delete things, it looks like everything went away, but little do you know, part of that stayed behind, like a contact log entry. Now, you don't care about it anymore.
Yep.
Because you deleted Fred and Nancy Smith.
Exactly.
But some of their records could have remained.
Yeah.
And we're going to identify those.
Yep, that's exactly right. I mean, that's the primary one is contact log entries anyway. Okay. So what we'll do is we won't delete them. We'll keep them, and we'll just assign them a default customer or vendor or whichever, which will be like an Aptora default, we'll call it. Which then that's what that report will print you, and then it will show you. You can go in and change them to another customer if you want, or just leave them because they were dead records anyway.
Right. Yeah, most people will do nothing with them.
Yep.
So talked about the cost upgrade. There isn't any. Talked about the data migration. There isn't any. The other thing people ask about all the time is what's your schedule? We had been talking about April 2024 for a long time, and we're still on schedule for that. But what I want to tell everybody is that doesn't mean that in April, all of you will see there's an update available and you click the download button and you get the update. We have to roll it out slowly because we simply couldn't handle all of the phone calls that will come in regarding that update. So we're going to be rolling it out slowly, just like Windows does, just like your phone. You may not know it, but when an update to your phone comes out from Apple or Android, it isn't nationwide. It isn't worldwide, certainly. It's rolled out, and we're going to be doing the same thing. So we have no way of guaranteeing who's going to get the update when, but we'll roll it out as soon as we can. Once we take care of our hosted clients, then we will be making it available to the on-premises people, the people that host their own software. Did I get any of that wrong?
Nope. Sounds right.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
Well, what else do you have to show us? Any final things before we start taking some questions?
I don't think so. I just like navigating around. So you see me moving around, that's really just what it is. I just like moving.
Yeah, I like the speed and crispness of the program. I like the colors, which means lack of colors.
Right.
I like the real base colors there. I think it's easy on the eye.
Yep.
I love the workflow navigator. The truth is, folks, we were rebuilding the navigator to make it more modern and everything. And at some point, someone just suggested, why don't we just put the old one in there?
Yep.
Everybody uses it and loves it.
Right.
Stick it in there.
And we couldn't get it quite right. Anyway, I mean, we'll circle back to it because we want to make it editable, maybe in the second update after it's released. But yeah, somebody on the dev team just thought, let's just throw this in here. I mean, this thing's functional, it's nice, clean.
It's a testament to how, if you know one program, you know the other.
Right.
Because this is 100% out of Total Ops Manager.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's kind of like copy-paste.
It really was copy-paste.
Yeah. So it's exactly the same navigator. And I keep pointing that out because there's a lot of nervousness about learning new software.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, we're going to have to learn new software.
Right.
I'm going to come in on Monday and I won't know how to use it.
Right.
But that's not going to be the case.
No, I think, 95% of everybody's job that uses Tom could be found on the Workflow Navigator. So if you don't even want to learn anything else, like where to go, just use it. You're familiar with it. Everything's the same. That's kind of I liked when the guy, suggested it. I was like, you know what, I like that.
Ella, do we have any questions that you'd like Bryant and I to address?
Yeah, we've got quite a few in the chat. Let's see. Alicia has also had her hand raised for a while. So, Alicia, if you are still having a question that you want to ask Bryant and James, I'm going to unmute you right now, or give you the option to unmute yourself. So you have that ability if you just want to unmute, and they can take your question.
Hi there.
Hi.
There she is.
Can
Hi.
you hear me?
I do.
We're a client in Canada, and we noticed that there are some functionality differences that we may have here with terms of taxes and things like that. And you talk a lot about payroll, which is actually a function that we can't even use at this time. So I'm wondering if there's something that is going to be addressed for clients that are not specifically in the States.
Regarding the sales tax, it will be the same in the new program as it is in the old. So it's no better, no worse, same capability. But we do plan on a second phase, a second go around, we do plan to enhance our ability to handle what we normally call use tax, but that's the feature that is most needed in Canada, what we're calling use tax. Regarding payroll, I can't make any promises, but we have talked a lot about Canadian payroll. We're actively researching it, looking into it. we need to find a company that can provide us payroll tax tables, because we don't want to be responsible for that,
Yep.
that can provide us payroll tax tables from Canada. And when we find that company, then we can start looking at programming for Canadian payroll. But I can promise you it is something we have a giant desire to do.
Yep. Yeah, I would agree. That's exactly right. I've done a lot of looking. The tax control we use now doesn't offer it. I've talked to them a little bit. They've thought about it as well. So it's just a matter of finding one that does. And yeah, start building that out. Because I know there's a need for it.
Other Canadian questions?
Thank you.
We love Canada. Fun fact, when Pearl Harbor was attacked, Canada declared war on Japan before the United States did.
Yep.
That's how cool Canada is. Question, what do document link images function like?
It would be still a link, just not a link to a physical file, a link to a database record. So you just click on it and it would open.
So to the user, nothing's different.
Right.
It's just that instead of the file being in a folder somewhere,
It's stored in a database.
it's stored in a database.
Correct. Yep. That's the only real difference.
And so if you navigate to go get a file and bring it into Total Office Manager, what happens?
Your file remains if you just copy it, and then a file, the same one, copy of it gets uploaded.
Okay.
And that's your record.
That's right.
Yep.
Now that will solve a lot of headaches people have had with file management.
Permission issues, all kinds of stuff. It just takes all that out of the equation.
What does the mobile view look like? What can the technician see and how do they use it? That's a good question.
That is a good question.
You want to address that?
Yeah, so at first, phase one of releasing Tom, we will have our current mobile be used. I didn't want to throw a wrench in the tech's, workflow. So we will still use the same mobile, and then as we start ironing out everything we've done with Tom, then we'll move to a mobile platform. Kind of gives us an opportunity to, write what was done not poorly, but a different way if we need to.
Yeah, I think the what I want to reiterate is that mobile will work with Total Office Manager NextGen, and we chose not to mess with it, at least make major changes to it, because we did not want to disrupt the field. But I should mention, and we like to be very transparent at Aptora, most software companies don't have a reveal.
Right.
Like Microsoft is not doing a Windows 12 reveal.
That's true.
Right? And this is our fourth or fifth.
Yeah,
So we like to be transparent. We are working on an update to mobile to improve the sales presentation capability and also make it easier for technicians to use the parts lists and the work order list.
Yep.
We're going to a card style.
card view, yep.
Card view, which is friendlier on a small mobile device.
Yep.
But we're also doing what's commonly referred to as good, better, best, which we currently do in our sales presentation system, but we just don't have good, better, best
Templated
side
out.
by side.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Good, better, best. So we're making those changes. What I'm getting at is by the time next generation is out, hopefully mobile will have improved a lot as far as you guys are concerned. Hopefully you'll think it's improved a lot. And we'll take care of a lot of those things people are asking for.
Right. Yep.
And then someday, if they want to, couldn't they just use Total Office Manager Next Generation in the field?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's one great thing about it being web-based. One change we did is if you don't have permission to something, you don't see it. So it takes, if I'm a tech and I don't need to see invoices, just remove permissions, and I don't think they exist.
Yeah. So it's not in your way. So now when you don't have permission for something, you almost always see it, but it's disabled. Now we just remove it. So we're taking away that clutter. You'll be able to make the UI very very friendly. Mm-hmm. Free of unnecessary distractions.
Yeah, and one thing about the tech, I won't nerd out too much, but the platform we're building on allows us to create an app that works with all platforms natively, so you don't have to worry about an Android app and an iOS app and a Windows app. It allows you to push to all of them.
And I think most importantly, it it plays well with any display size. Right? It was built that way. We're using a technology called Microsoft Blazor, and it's cutting edge.
Oh, yeah.
It was in beta when we started using it years ago, but it was built to be agnostic.
Yeah.
System agnostic.
Yep.
Whatever your display, your system, it looks the same, behaves the same, it fits properly.
Right. Yep. Exactly.
Matthew, will groups work the same with moving rows?
Yeah, I think that's the question I answered while talking. Yes. So you'll be able to move them inside of the group and not outside, but it'll work the same as the other. Yep.
Brittany, will the custom data views be available for export like in current Tom?
Yeah, so the idea with custom data views, we're going to probably turn most of those into reports. And then, yeah, you'll just be able to export those just like you can all your other lists, like right here. I'm on a customer list, export list. Oh, that one's not ready. Let me go to another one. And even hosted, not hosted, it exports locally because it's on the browser. So,
and our exporting has been improved too. It works now, I think, really well, but we have improved the exporting in the sense that we're keeping a lot more of the little bitty formatting and things like that that are maybe currently being lost. Yeah. But that reminds me of our new report designer. We will have a improved report designer at some point that is not, I'm not going to call it easy to use, because to build a report, it isn't easy.
Right.
But it's easier.
Yeah.
Currently than it is, and it looks nicer.
It looks
and more
nicer,
friendly.
yeah.
It's not
Weirdly
as
enough, it looks similar to what we currently have,
Yeah.
but it does function a little cleaner.
There's just no way to allow someone an opportunity to build a report in great detail and not have a lot of nerd stuff in there.
Right, yeah, exactly.
But it's a little easier to use, and it will allow you to build your own reports, I think, in a more efficient manner. Can we delete multiple lines at once rather than one at a time?
We don't have that at the moment, but that is, yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, that's worth writing down.
Yeah, like you mean like, I'm guessing an invoice, just highlight a few rows and.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the answer is no. But the answer is good idea, because I don't see why we couldn't do that easily. Will there be a dark mode?
It actually follows your browser. It should. I think we'll have our own colors, of course, but you change your browser to dark mode, wherever that is, and some of the stuff does change. So
I'm grinning because these guys in development, nerdy engineers, they are so obsessed with colors, the color mode, the dark mode, and all that. You walk through our building, and everybody's got the dark mode.
Lights off.
Lights are off, right? So I'm sure there's going to be a dark mode, Darth Vader mode.
Right.
I mean,
yeah, I mean, we'll probably have eventually, not day one, but we'll probably have templates you can choose from, color schemes.
But you were saying, before I was grinning, you were saying it's going to follow your theme in the browser.
For the most part. I think some header info will. The blue right here won't. We hard-coded that, but again, we can change colors. We can make it customizable.
Quentin's asking, on the invoice screen, can you collapse or expand the group item?
That's another good one.
That is another good idea. The answer is no, you cannot. But that's a good idea. And that would be the kind of thing that a quick thought, not possible currently because of the control.
Right.
But with this, I don't see why not.
No, I don't either, yeah.
So, yeah, that's something I think we can do. Allow you to collapse them individually, maybe have a collapse all button. It'll handle a large invoice or bill a lot more efficiently than it currently does. Some of you in the plumbing industry and electrical industry especially, you have a lot of items. You could have 300-400 items on an invoice. HVAC too, but especially plumbing and electrical. It handles that much better. It's much faster. So you're not going to have the kind of delays that you might be having now when you have 300 items on there, especially when you have dozens of group items.
Right.
April is launch for cloud-based. How long after for self-hosted? I can't say for sure, Heidi. I don't want to say, because that's a great unknown. We have to roll it out to hosted first, and some of that depends on people's ability to absorb it. I don't expect we're going to have any issues because there's going to be plenty of beta testing before that, but I don't really know when the on-prem will be available. When we do have a better idea, I will certainly update that document that's on our website. It's a pretty thorough document. We're really sticking our neck out in that document. We've made a lot of claims,
Right.
and that's why we're having these reveals, because we're very open here. I will update that document as we know more.
Yeah, and just to top that off with, technically speaking, even though I'm on a website, this is a local install of the application. So
Yeah.
this is self-hosting right now.
Right. Yeah.
So-
Good point.
Yeah, so I mean, and all of our devs are self-hosting the app at their homes. So
I'm glad you brought that up. So to reiterate what he said is, we're self-hosted right now.
Yep.
It's local. We're not using the internet. So what you saw is what it would be like when it's on-prem, or what we're going to be calling self-hosted. One question Brian had is, will it have saved filters? So will you have saved filters in the program, like the user filters?
yeah, we'll probably have a spot where you can save your filters, give it a name. Because the filtering is so intense, you may find that your filters might not need as many. I think there'll be some that you'll need. So yeah, we'll have a spot where you can save them per user.
Yeah, and I think unlike current Total Office Manager, when you save your filters, we should be able to also save your columns. Whatever columns you had, the arrangement of those columns, there's no reason why we can't save that. And we don't do that currently.
Right.
We only save your filtering that you've set up.
Yeah,
By the way, in all fairness, I should mention one of the very, 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 very few things that don't get, I don't want to use the word migrated, but that don't show up in the new one is your user filters.
Yeah, and we're still playing with it, so it isn't off the table yet.
Okay.
But yeah, that is the only one hiccup.
Yeah, yeah.
Just
That's really about it. I can't think of anything else that doesn't come over.
No, not really.
Show
I
up
mean,
in the
I don't-
new program.
I think list filters and smart lists were about it. I think we might even be able to get smart lists.
Okay.
So
So we haven't given up on it.
right, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I haven't thrown in the towel yet.
All right. Kate, will Audit Trail be public for all in Tom, or still can set to yeah.
Yep. Same permissions.
I was reading like a 2-year-old there, or still can be set to specific users. Yes, you can, just like you can now, you'll be able to set that and other things to specific users. One thing I should mention about security, some of you have asked for this, the ability to have role-based security. So in addition to being able to pick a username and start setting security, we will have roles built into the program, and if you're an accountant or a dispatcher or a salesperson or whatever, then we will get you started.
Right.
We'll establish your security settings, and then you can modify those.
Yeah, if you pop over to the screen real quick, I'll show them really fast. The security is the same. You select your user, you copy from if you want to, you can jump to a section. One thing we did add is a search. So if I'm looking for certain, an invoice permission, I don't want to have to scroll. So this is just going to bring up everything in every section that has the word invoice in it. So it just makes, but all the settings and permissions are the same. Yep.
Okay. All right. Can the audit trail have more detail of what happened? Yes, but let me explain. Currently, the main audit trail won't have much more detail than it currently has, but each form will have its own audit trail. When you open up an invoice, for example, you open up a customer, it will have its own audit trail. It will tell you everything you currently would see in the audit trail, but in addition to that, it will have the original value and the new value. Somebody changes a phone number, somebody adds an email address, you will know not only who edited the record, but you'll know that that person added an email address, as an example.
Yep.
Any other changes to estimates, invoices, and form designer? So Matthew might be asking about your ability to create your own printed invoice. Any changes there?
Not currently. I think the potential for changing that is there. I mean, adding power, adding what you can and cannot change. Right.
Yeah, I think what you will see is we mentioned this earlier, the new report designer. It won't offer a lot more capability, although some, but it should be a little bit easier to use, but it's still the same concept. You have all these fields on the left,
Right.
and you drag them out there and rearrange them. It's that area that you drag out onto is a little more intuitive.
Yeah.
And it's more pleasing to look at. But the calculation fields and so forth are still pretty complicated for the average person.
Yeah, they are. I mean, and we can share the link that where the designer's online. Like we don't build it; it's something we use.
Yeah, it's been built for us.
Yeah, so it's basically you can just go to the website and see the designer and how it works, and that's what we use to build reports.
Brittany, can we still use Notcha instead of the TP bank?
Yeah, ironically enough, even new ACH processing payroll, you still send a Notcha file. It's just done behind the scenes.
Yep.
So yeah, we'll have an option to have the old way where you take your Notch file to your bank, or you can do the upload way.
Kano, are you able to talk more about the Open API functionality and what that will enable us to do going forward with our customers and existing software?
I mean, it really kind of depends on what you want to do. I think there's endless possibilities what you can do. As far as clicking on this work order, for instance, is an API call. So if you wanted to make a new work order with the right key, you could have a work order. So it goes from simple things to how do I could create a little form that allows me to clock in, or all the way to just grabbing data, putting it in Excel.
So the API, if you're familiar with APIs, like MailChimp has an API, and we are going to integrate with MailChimp using their API. We don't have to call MailChimp into it. We don't have to call them and ask to talk to programmers. We just use their API, read their documentation, and all of a sudden Total Ops Manager NextGen interfaces with their system. Well, it's the same with ours. If somebody wanted to, they would look at our documentation and they would interface with our system and do whatever they want with it. But so could you. You could go into Microsoft Excel or some other environment, build your own timesheet entry form, and using the API, it'd be just like you had our programmers doing the work. Right?
Yeah, and there's just companies that do things for mailing. Like there's companies out there that our current users use that will grab invoices out of the database and send thank yous or you could build that yourself with the API. That's just what those companies are going to do.
Now, on that roadmap document that I mentioned earlier, there are some features that are going to cost more money. What you have now won't cost more money. There are some things that we're going to be doing to the software in the future that will have a nominal fee, nothing giant, but we tried to be open and honest about that too. You will see little asterisks next to things, and it'll say this is going to cost a little extra, so please be aware of that. Do messages within Tom save to the customer account in any way? That might be the chat messages.
Oh, so like texting? Currently no, but they do save in the database, so it's super easy to just pull the record and show it on customer history or the contact log but they do save to the database with the customer ID. So
in other words, for everybody else, if you didn't see it or not sure what we're talking about, we have that chat feature, and you can chat with other people in your company, but also a customer can come in and chat with you. They could send you a text message that comes in as a chat. If we have that phone number on file, there's no reason why we can't allow you to go back someday and see all your chats by customer in some kind of list.
Yeah, oh yeah. They're saved there with the ID, so we'll be able to pull that up easy.
Kim wants to know, how will the payroll work when there are taxing and non-taxing jurisdictions in the same zip code?
I feel like it would just not calculate taxes for the non-taxing jurisdiction.
I think so too. The idea is that the company that provides us with that data, they have all that information by zip code, and they would have knowledge of what tax doesn't apply. But remember, it's all editable. If for some reason we didn't do it correctly, some tax doesn't apply, you can go in and change
Right.
that tax item yourself.
Right. Yeah, I've met with a few companies that do payroll taxing, and the way they do it is by zip code. Even some big ones like Drake Accounting. So I don't see a problem with it.
Any changes to banking that will allow connection to the bank or credit card and download the transactions?
Currently, no. But you could always, download them from your bank in a CSV file and import.
Right. Yeah.
It's the same thing. Yeah.
Most of the time you can download the file from the bank, and we have an import utility. You should be able to import. That's another possibility with the API. To be honest, I can see a reason why people want to be able to download transactions from their bank. The reason why we have never tried to address it in Total Ops Manager, the original program that you have now, is accounting people, and I'm a partner in an accounting firm, accounting people just hate that feature because it allows you to import mistakes that the bank made.
Yep.
And if you reconcile your bank accounts, you find mistakes that are made.
Yep.
And you would just import those mistakes.
Right.
And then who's going to bother to reconcile? So many people use that as a reason not to reconcile.
Exactly. Yeah, that's
So the import mistakes, you could import fraud and never know it. So most accounting people don't like it. That's why it was never a priority. But I understand people want those things. So if you could download the file, you could import those because we allow you to import credit card transactions, bills, things like that.
right.
If you were logged into only the schedule board, can you still access the customer's history?
Yeah, so basically you right click on the work order customer history, will open up Tom. And if you're already logged in, you have access to see customer history, then you have access right there. Yep.
Craig, can you show only how work orders will look from the field technician side? Will they be able to assign equipment to parts used, like the current estimate or invoice? So we have the mobile app, and it won't change any more than our updates are changing it.
Right.
But you will be using the exact same mobile app to connect to Total Office Manager Next Generation, which again is a testament to how they're the same program, really.
Yeah.
You'll be using the same mobile app. So whatever the mobile app cannot do, it cannot do with NextGen. Whatever it can do, it will do with NextGen. With that said, we will continue to move forward developing the mobile app like we might give you the ability to assign equipment on a line item basis.
Absolutely, yeah.
Also, remember, people want mobile to be simple, and other people want it to have everything Tom has.
That's the dilemma.
Right?
Yeah.
So yeah, people are always like, "Oh man, your app is too hard to use." Other people are like, "You need to add all these other things to your app," which makes it harder to use.
Right.
So we are going to continue to try to keep the app as easy to use as possible. In fact, we're working on trying to make it a little easier
Right, yeah.
now. But you will also be able to use Total Office Manager Next Generation in the field because the technology we're using makes it resize very nicely to even the smallest screens. All right. Let's see. How will our Form Builder custom reports work with the new version?
They're in mobile, so it'll currently work like that. Yep.
No change there.
Yep.
Are 1095s included in the new version?
They can be. We have 1099s already, so
Yeah.
I mean, I would say if that was the question, I would say no, just because we don't have them now.
Right.
Can we add them? Yes.
Yes. Yeah, and it's easier for us to add things like that.
Yeah. The more we want to, the more, things that we start adding, the prolonging of the end date we
Yeah.
get.
Yeah, the reason why we've been on time is because the team has been busting their butts, for one thing. Shout out to all of them. But number two, we have avoided the feature creep,
Right.
as it's called, right?
Yep.
So what's feature creep?
Basically, yeah, have you build, you have a scope of build the work order to do this, and then a good idea pops in your head, like what if the button did that, and then something else popped up, and then
Yeah.
this window popped up. That's feature creep.
So it looks like this. The boss sits down with a product manager and says, hey, did you get those W-2s done? How about the W-3s? W-4s? Can you make a W-5 and a W-6 and a W-7 and an 8? Mm-hmm. And, because you're in there, I would love to see that in there.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, you don't meet your deadline.
Yeah, and then it's bloated and you're late.
Yeah.
So, yep.
So we can address those and other things. And it's easier. It's just so much easier to add things than it used to be. Will the bill pay work better? Currently, the save, refresh, and auto discount either barely work, don't work, or work incorrectly. It takes us forever to reconcile our statements. I don't know. I don't know that it's going to work any better, but I'd like to know what problem you're having because we can either show you a better way or you will show us how bad it is, and we will say, oh my God, she's right.
Absolutely.
This has to be fixed. I can just say that we reconcile a ton of accounts in the accounting firm, RA Tax and Accounting, Aptora, no trouble. Our people love it. I mean, look, we own the software. If we didn't like that, we could change it. So we would definitely like to see your workflow, maybe witness how you're doing it, and see if we can improve on it. And if we don't improve on it in the existing program, then we would certainly look at improving that in the new one.
Absolutely, yeah. Currently it's set up similar. It does function a little better. It's just because of the tech that we're using. But it is the same kind of grid with you check your boxes and pay your bills that way. But yeah, I would love to hear if there's any problems with it.
Yeah. Yeah, I do that work myself, and I haven't had any issues with it at all. And haven't had any feature requests on that form in a long time.
Not a long time.
Tina wants to know, what is the status of work order address? Will this be editable for each work order? Also address zone pricing.
Yeah, we haven't gotten to zone pricing yet, but the work order, I don't have it on this part, but you can see I can click here. So the idea is we're going to have each side of this editable and save independently. That way you can, I know what Tina is getting at. Yes, I have not forgot.
Yeah. I think that the database was built with that in mind, but it wasn't a phase one thing.
Right.
Because it's a bit of work.
It is, yep.
But we laid the foundation for it, which we couldn't do in the original one. So what that means for the rest of you is someday you will be able to have multiple work addresses on a work order, and without the need for adding jobs, as we call them, hierarchy, children, you'll just be able to have multiple addresses.
Yep.
Brittany, can we create a new text to customers from Teams, meaning not after the customer responds to the automated text? Also, will we be allowed to customize the text feature more than current Teams chat?
Let's see. I'll start with the first one. Can we create a text to a customer from Teams? No, technically that isn't an option. Everything that I see is basically you respond. You don't engage first.
Right.
So unless you're getting there automatically, like an automated message.
Right.
So I don't want to just be able to send a text to a homeowner saying, hey, a system should do it, saying I'm on my way or something. And then if they reply, then you can start a conversation.
Yeah. Now, one exception is our current system sends you reminders, and we're going to be out there, and we're improving on that.
Right.
We're going to allow you to set your own reminder time, and you can send it again.
Yep.
That kind of thing. But when it comes to mass texting, sending out text messages to a lot of people at once, we are not doing that in our program, but we are interfacing with MailChimp, who offers that capability. So MailChimp can do that, and we will interface with them.
I see what they were saying.
But we are improving our texting as far as being able to send it again. Change the time.
That should be coming out in the next couple weeks for mobile, allowing you to pick the time they automatically send, and then if you don't think it's sent, you can hit a button and it'll resend them all again.
Yeah.
Yep.
And if they reply, that comes in as a chat.
Yep.
And then you're good to go. You can talk to them all you want, unless they hit stop.
Yep.
And by the way, we have rules we have to follow, and they're real strict about it. They'll close our account. We are audited constantly on our texting account, and they put us through a lot.
Oh yeah, there's it's almost like
compliance.
blacklisting emails. Like
Yeah.
it's gotten to that point where there's a bunch of spammers out there texting people. So now those companies that provide that service require a ton more.
Yeah,
of
the
stuff.
paperwork's crazy for us to comply with texting. We constantly have to fill out paperwork demonstrating that we're following the rules. Will it allow you to pre-publish via map the scheduling? Pre-publish. I'm not sure what that means, but we do have currently our route creator, our routing. So we have the ability to have Total Office Manager examine all the places you're going and create a route. And then we also have a wizard that finds the best technician, the one that can get there the quickest based on where they're at any given moment. So I'm not sure if that covers it, but
The only thing I can think of too is if you have a bunch scheduled, but no one's going there yet. So you kind of like you have like a holding spot. If that's what you're thinking of. Then yeah, we could add like a default column basically, unscheduled, scheduled but not assigned, or scheduled but not dispatched.
Right. Yeah, thing is we can do so much more, so much faster.
Yeah.
I mean, we literally can do things in roughly half the time in Total Office Manager. Not mobile, but in Total Office Manager, things could be done in half the time roughly.
Yep. User defined fields, any changes? Nope. I actually even believe at first we weren't going to be able to migrate those, and I think we got it now. So all user defined fields are good to go.
Awesome.
Yep.
And he says he likes them and would like to be able to put those in other places. There's no reason why we can't expand user-defined fields to be available in more forms and do a better job of reporting on them.
Yep.
With our custom report builder. We should be able to get more out of the user-defined fields. Also, we do plan to eventually have user-defined fields editable in mobile at some point, not round one, but that's been a big feature request is why can't I do that? Two different technologies. Someday that's going to be doable.
Yep. But yeah, we were pretty stuck on getting those in, and they worked pretty well. So,
Belinda, will you give us notice prior to the update? Absolutely. I'm glad you brought that up. None of you will come to work and find that you're on the new system unless your boss did it to you. But we will not do that to anybody. And we will give you quite a bit of time to use the old software before you move to the new one. We haven't decided just how long that'll be, but a year or so. We're going to quit working on it.
right.
We're going to update the payroll like one last time
Yep.
to keep it legal. But unless there's a major bug, we're just not going to fix things, not going to improve it. We're going to give up on it so we can focus entirely on the new system. And we haven't given up on it. As you know, we're always putting out updates. But we need to stop. We need to only do what's critical. But I just want to tell all of you, you will not just come to work one day and be using the new program. It is voluntary. You'll get a notice that it's available, and you'll have instructions on what to do, etc. So it won't be a shock.
Right. No. Yeah.
At least to the management and owners.
Right,
Might be a
right.
shock to some employee.
yeah.
But even then, if someone forced it on you, it's like
5 minutes. You'd be like, okay. I
it's
guess
Windows.
the same.
It's like Windows 8 versus 8.1. It's
Right.
Like, it
Or
shouldn't
10,
be a big deal.
8 to 11. That change.
Yeah.
Everything's still the same. It just looks different.
Will we be able to text customers invoices with a link to pay?
Yeah, so you can actually do that now. I think there's a bug with it that we're fixing. But you could do that now in mobile, and yeah, we'll just have the same functionality in Tom. The other thing that was above that one was, I forget, ability to payments online. So same kind of question. Yeah. You could do both of those things currently.
Yeah, currently you can do those things. If you're not aware of it, we do have a customer access portal, which is a URL that you provide your customers, and they can go to that app online. They can look at work orders. They can pay invoices, various things like that. That's available now. We charge for it, but that's available. And mobile can also send links currently
Yep.
that you can use to pay your invoice.
Yep. And then one other thing on it is if you use Solero, then they have an option where you can create your own payment option inside of your own website, which it doesn't link up with Tom just yet. It will with NextGen, but this will allow you to take down payments, stuff like that from your website.
Phil wants to know, will Aptora be able to import data from Service Titan? I think we can improve on that because we have a very capable import system in our current program, although it's more difficult to use than it needs to be. But we can expand on that ability. But currently, if you want a lot of data from Service Titan, I think it has to be us doing it unless you really know what you're doing. But we can get much better at that. We lose customers to Service Titan. I don't mind telling you that. We also get customers from Service Titan. I think they're our number one source of customers, and I think they're the number one source of losing them.
Yeah.
Who says that? What owner is so honest about that? I mean, I will tell you about anything. But yeah, we get them. They leave and they come from Service Titan.
Yeah, and eventually, I wouldn't be opposed to somebody saying, "Hey, I got to use Service Titan. We need accounting.
Yeah.
Let's get Tom."
Yeah, right. Why not? But I think that that's something we can improve on with more and more people saying, I don't want to lose my data. But it's since they don't have accounting, it's actually not that difficult for us to get data because the accounting is really the hard thing to get. But whatever is, if you're using QuickBooks with Service Titan, keep in mind, we migrate QuickBooks data, so we're able to get that data. We could marry it with the Service Titan data and improve on that. Is NextGen installable as a progressive web app? I'm not sure.
I would say
I'm on the same page as the progressible web app. What's that mean to you?
I thought a progressive web app was like single page, but maybe Phil can expand on it. I could Google it.
I've heard the term used. It's just that the discussion was different every time.
Built using web platform technology. I'll read first.
Craig, designated multiple contacts on an account to receive estimates or invoices would be helpful. We have many clients that want to be CC'd on estimates or have invoices go to different addresses. This is currently a manual process for us. Any evolution there? No, there isn't. There hasn't been really any evolution there, but we could. What I'd like you to do is go to support.aptora.com and look for the feature request button and add that as a feature request. Somebody once said to me on Aptora Pros, I know who he is, I won't mention his name. Oh yeah, why do that? That's where ideas go to die. And then when he said that, I went and counted up all the ideas. You might remember that. And 22% were approved. We approved 22% of them, and we had done most of them. But at that time, some weren't done yet, but they were approved and they were in the pipeline. I haven't counted them lately.
I haven't either.
But
we look at them.
But sure. We look at them. So go to the feature request system and put in something really specific because, again, I'm just being honest. If it's hard to read and figure out what they want, we really should ask for clarification, but I don't always. I'm in a hurry. If I'm in a hurry, I don't even ask. But people can go in there and comment on your feature requests. They can vote on them. They can even offer to pay money. And it's not something like we make a lot of money on, but when people keep throwing money at it, it becomes really clear to us that it's important.
Right. Back to the progressive web app, it is not, but it's kind of like it. So Blazor, you could just look up Blazor, and it'll basically give you everything you need to know. We use Blazor Server, and then we'll probably use Blazor WebAssembly for our app, our mobile app. So if you want to look, but yeah, a progressive app is just a web platform for all. You can install it on this, and it works like Windows, but you can put it everywhere.
I see.
And because we're web-based, it doesn't matter. I was on my MacBook last night on it. Just fine. So
yeah, it doesn't care.
Yep.
We use purchase orders for our internal warehouse. Can you take all the items from a purchase order and transfer them from the main warehouse to a vehicle warehouse. No, currently we don't have that ability, but that's something that we can address. I would say, again, put that in the feature request system. Just be real specific. I mean, this is pretty clear to me, but be real specific so other people can read it and comment on it if you want to. If you aren't aware of it, you may already be. You might be an advanced user. I think you are. If you're the Sandy I know, you're an advanced user. But for everybody else, don't forget about the inventory transfer form. The inventory transfer form allows you to very quickly move things from one place to another. You can't pick a PO, but it does allow you to easily do that. On a related note, I know this doesn't quite apply to the question, but just so everybody knows, when you do receive items from a PO, you can go to the header and change the warehouse to a truck. And when you save that item receipt, you have now moved everything on that PO. So that would take care of that.
Oh, but eliminate a step.
Yeah, eliminate a step. Yeah, I understand. Jack, will we be able to log into a sample company before it launches? Well, yes. To be clear, though, you will be able to upgrade and you'll be able to open a sample company. If you have it installed locally, then you can run your local and you can run the new one if you want to.
I think to be surprised, you'll be surprised how little you need a training environment just because it's so similar.
Yeah. I can promise you this. I'm 99.5% confident on this. All your basic workflow, if someone really knows it, I mean, they really know it. They're not struggling with Tom.
Right.
You could put them in a chair and tell them they have to do it in the new one, and they would have no trouble.
Yeah, I mean, I try to paint the picture of like, if you can verbally remember where the invoice list is, or, it's under customers, invoice sale credit estimate list. That's the same.
It's still there.
Still there.
It's still.
Go to the customer menu, invoice list.
The menu looks a little different, but the words are the same under the menu, right?
Yep.
And they're in the same place. Everything's in the same place, same words. All the labels are the same words.
Yep.
Even the message boxes, unless they had a typo,
right,
they're all the same words.
Yep.
All the same words. Every button label, the same words. And then we just added that search because
why not?
It's cool.
Right.
It's helpful.
Yeah, I don't think, but I mean, if it's something that, Jack, I don't know who that is, but if it's something that you want, we could always show you a way that we could use a sample company. You can switch if you're live anyway, you can switch back to your sample company and then play around, try it out.
Yeah.
Yep.
Brian, are there thumbnails for document links and a quick way to label them like serial number or damaged unit?
You give it a description, so yes. And then are there thumbnails? We had thumbnails in the last demo. I took them away because they were acting a little finicky. But yeah, ideally you'd have, the problem really comes in with like items. What thumbnail do you use? Probably the primary image. So those kind of things we just got to decide. But yeah, you could have a little thumbnail on the grid. I worry though it might, bloat up the application, that cognitive load thing. If I have 10,000 items showing and 10,000 thumbnails, are you really looking at the thumbnail at that point?
Yeah.
I don't know. But yes, that's a possibility.
Barry's asking, will we be able to generate statements and include customer POs? Now, the statements feature will be there,
Yep.
and it'll work like it does now. It's subject to being improved later, but I'm not sure what the customer POs is about.
Unless you mean work orders, maybe? Some people
Maybe it was work orders,
Yeah.
customer work orders. Well, my answer would be this. On the initial release, it will be no better, no worse than the current statements. So you'll have all the same functionality, but probably nothing much different. The report designer might be,
You'll be able to email
again,
them.
a little better. You can email it. The emailing's better, but for the most part, it'll be what you have now.
Yeah.
United Refractories. Are there any improvements for industrial contractors like ACA reporting or union reporting? No,
No, I think.
but I would want to know what.
Yeah, I would
because
too. I don't know.
I haven't seen any feature requests come in for that.
No, I would like to see them.
And that's why we ask people to go to the feature request system, so we have an official place that we all can go to and read them and see them and search for them and so forth. And when people read those and comment on them and vote for them, we realize, okay, this is something we need to pay attention to.
Right.
On custom data views or new list and reports, can you save the column configuration, and will this be part of the filter?
Very specific. If you can't do it now, then no. And again, custom data views are going to be reports, so there won't be a grid.
Yeah, we're doing away with the grid part.
Right.
But we are planning on having the ability to go to a list, and you can currently add or remove columns, rearrange columns. You can apply filters. We're going to add the ability to give all of that a name.
Right.
And that's how you do it in Total Office Manager, but it's going to be better because each column has its own set of filters, and we're going to be saving the order of the columns and what columns you're showing, which we don't do currently.
Right. Yep. Correct.
James, can you give us a little more detail on invoicing and payment links? So, and you have a shot at this too. I'll say what I can say, and then you fill in what I didn't know about.
Okay.
Currently in mobile, you have the ability to send the customer a link so that they can follow that link, land on a web page, and pay the invoice. You also have the ability to invest in what we call the client access portal, which is a website, a little place you go to. The customer, your customer, goes there. They log in using a username and password of their choosing. You decide what customers can access it in security. And they go there, log in, and they can see work orders and invoices and certain things. The feature set's limited right now, just waiting for feedback. But most importantly, what they can do is they can pay an invoice. They whip out a credit card, pay an invoice, and more capability would be coming. We just aren't getting much feedback on it. People seem to be okay with it. The one thing we do want to add is the ability to make a down payment.
Correct.
Which currently can't do.
Right.
You can't make a down payment. You can't go sign an estimate and make a down payment.
Right.
We know we need to do that.
Yep.
But besides that, I haven't heard anything.
No, yeah. Basically, you open up the invoice. If there's an amount due, the customer sees that there's an amount due, pay now, punch in their credit card number, and then Tom gets it.
Yeah. What about the payment link? Did I mess that up?
Yeah, the payment link is something that you can set up if you're a Solero customer. It's just, I think they call it a pay now button. It's really not something we do. It's something they just offer free of charge, just being one of their customers. And you just take that link and you embed it into your website, whatever kind of website you have, whether it's WordPress or whatever. And then that link just shows up. You could tell your customer, hey, here's your estimate. If you want to pay down payment, go to our website, hit pay now. It's something you have to track manually currently, but eventually I see that being just a part of NextGen.
And what about the link you can send people to follow the link and make a payment?
Yeah, so in mobile, you can send an email, go to your invoice and do send payment link email, and that will send the email of the attached invoice, and then a little button at the bottom will say, do you want to pay the invoice now? You click that button, and it navigates them to what looks like your mobile app, but all they see is that invoice and a pay screen.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, hopefully we got that. Will there be caller ID capability, such as when customer calls, it opens their account? Short answer is yes. Only the hosted people don't have the caller ID capability. But the short answer is yes, but it's going to do far more than just caller ID. It will do call recording and monitoring. Those are options, but you'll have all those features in addition to the caller ID and automatically looking up the customer, vendor, employee.
Yep. And there's a lot of things I think, for transparency, there's a lot of things that we'll add, but it's just maybe come April won't be there. Caller ID, for instance. Yeah. I hope it's there, but I would rather payroll be done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think that's kind of the goal. But yes, all that caller ID, I know that's something we got to get into. So
yeah. To be clear, we're trying to deliver what they currently have. You don't have that in hosted now,
right?
So you won't have it on day one. I don't anticipate it, but certainly that's something that we not only intended to do, but we have the infrastructure built.
Yep.
If we were making a building, the foundation is already there for that and many other things.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Will you be able to sort chats better by date, by customer, read, unread?
I would say come April, yes.
Yeah, because I'm thinking, in my mind, here's what I'm thinking. Well, I don't know of any specific improvements that we have made. I don't know of any complaints.
No,
but it'd be easy to like hear a complaint and resolve it, add another capability.
And I think you're just basically looking at probably teams. So it'll be completely different. Each customer will have, so sort by customer, well, you don't need it because each customer will have their own little icon. So there will be no sorting. There won't be like, and then you'll see messages if they're unread or read. Sorting the messages, be honest, Brittany, I don't know. Facebook doesn't let you do that. So I don't know if that's something, sorting by date on messages doesn't really seem, but it's doable. So if it's something that's necessary, then yeah.
Yeah, we'd have to see something specific.
Right.
But yeah, no reason why we can't think about it.
Oh yeah.
Will AIA and certified payroll work and or offer the ability to upload to contractors? It should work.
It'll work, yeah. Uploading...
but uploading to contractors...
I guess unless the contractor has an API that you can upload to, which I'm probably not. But
probably not.
We'd be able to export it. I think you can do that now.
Yeah.
But yeah, Brittany, I would like to know more on that upload to contractors. Is there a spot you go currently to upload them? If so, just, let me know. I'm curious about that.
Yeah, what we'd be looking for, I may be reading too much into this because I'm thinking too nerdy, but if there's some standard out there to upload a file, meaning there's a standard on
like
how you do it.
Right.
Yeah, like Notcha.
Right.
And it's published, then we could look at that.
Absolutely.
And assess whether or not we could do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the kind of thing, by the way, the API is good for. One nice thing about the API is if those darn Aptorians won't do it for me,
right,
I can do it myself.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Kate, if mobile users end up using NextGen, Tom, we have to pay for them differently, like dedicated Tom users versus just seats for mobile. I don't know the answer to that yet, because we haven't really had to think about it. Ideally, you'd have an opportunity to pay less because we would just expose fewer features that you would pay extra for.
Right.
Like there'd be no dispatching center. Payroll wouldn't be in there.
Right.
Sales opportunity manager is not in there. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then we just wouldn't charge
as much
for that.
I see that.
Yeah.
That's how I see it being.
Yeah. So the answer is, I think so, yes. But we haven't had to think about it at all, and I certainly don't have any kind of pricing in mind at the moment. But
we won't screw people over, I guess, is a good way to put it.
No, we won't. No way. All right. Any other questions?
Awesome.
We get them all. That was good Q&A.
Yeah, it was.
I like that. As I mentioned, keep your eye on that document. Go to aptora.com, click the help down at the very bottom. I think it says software roadmap, and click on that. And we have a lot of FAQ. We have a list of all the features and changes that will come out if everything goes well, and it is, on day one. And then we have a list of things that we just can't get to on day one, but we're letting everybody know we have that in mind. And we'll keep updating that document. Based on today's session, I have a few things that I want to add to it.
Yeah. And I'll say, if you see me post something on Facebook or something about feedback, like a while back I posted top 10 reports everybody runs. If you want your opinion in here, throw me your opinion. I ask those questions for feedback just because I don't want to have to guess. So I would rather our users pick for me. So
Yeah, same here. Same here. Our goal is to make this transition as simple as possible. We knew we needed to modernize everything, but the workflow was great. Believe it or not, some people are like, yeah, sure, it's terrible.
Right.
Your software is terrible. The workflow is terrible. But when I have a chance to explain it, people usually go, okay, I get it now.
Right, right.
So we had workflow that's proven. It works. Big companies, small companies. We didn't want to change any of that. We just wanted to start over with something that was completely rewritten, ultra modern, and easier to maintain and add to.
Absolutely.
We're going to keep the stress and turmoil down as low as possible.
Yep. And, props to 20 years, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Aptora's been open 20. Tom's been out, I guess, 20 years.
Yeah. So when we release Total Office Manager Next Generation, it will be on our 20th anniversary of selling that software. 20 years selling Total Office Manager, same name, same owner, same EIN,
Yep.
same company.
And we actually didn't even plan it. Somebody told us.
Yeah.
They were like, hey, 20 years is in April. I'm like, oh, nice.
And our company's actually been around since 1997. Same EIN, same owner. Sold our first copy of Flat Rate Plus, 1997. Have
awesome.
the check on my wall. And I have next to it, I have the check for Total Office Manager in 2004.
That's awesome.
So 20-year anniversary.
Yep.
All new program.
Cool.
We got 20 years out of that software.
Yeah, man.
Got my money's worth.
40 more.
Yeah. All right.
Awesome.
One last call for questions. I think that does it. Thanks, everybody, for being here. I enjoyed it.
Yeah,
Brian, thanks for
no problem.
doing
Thanks
this
having
for me.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
I liked it.
Yeah.
Hope to see you guys in the next reveal and in my monthly webinar. Hope to see you in that as well. On behalf of all of my coworkers at Aptora, thanks for being here. Thanks for being our customer. And until next time, good day.
See ya.